want to welcome you back to Motonisto, and as promised, today I'll be talking about the Honda CB550, my current project. This will be my number 17 build, and it's a 550cc engine in a straight 4 configuration, and I think this would be a good time to make a video of it because I think artistically the design stage is just about over. And I'm very happy with the way the parts came together, even though none of the parts are meant to go together. And today we'll be walking around it and seeing how the fairing and fuel tank, the seat and the exhaust fit together, and what was needed to get it here. Work is not quite done yet, so don't be surprised if you'll see unfinished or missing bolts or a rusty frame or dirty engine with points exposed. They'll take they'll be the next stage of finishing things up and making brackets. So basically the artistic stage is over. This is when engineering takes off, and meeting point A to point B should be a lot easier. But let's go around the motorcycle and see what it took to get here. The fairing, it fits so beautiful on there. It completely hugs the fuel tank. The fairing is an aftermarket generic. Same with the seat. The seat and the fairing go together so well. The nice curvature over there, and they're both trapped within the axles. I mean, the front axle is there, the rear one is there, and the whole shape of the bike is trapped in there, and it's very streamlined, very horizontal looking motorcycle. I love it. The fairing is a not a frame mounted fairing rather, so that means it does not move with the front suspension, and that itself took quite a bit of figuring out how to clear everything. That bracket is stationary and it's split there. The bolt sandwiches tightens the bridge up, and the bridge meets with the main fairing stay, which if I remove that pin, the whole front end the whole fairing comes off, other than these two bolts on either side of it, which retain the fairing from flopping around. Fuel tank itself, it's sitting on rubber bushings in the front, the typical Japanese bushings, and same on the rear. It's a rubber pad sitting on the back, and it's not bolted down at all. It doesn't need to be. It is trapped by the seat. The seat traps it in there, and I'll show you how the seat itself is mounted. The way I modified the frame in the back, it was trimmed. It was cut right here. It was cut from this point back. So I welded a loop on there. After I removed the suspension, bottoming out the suspension tells you where the height of that loop. I'll still install a fender eventually, but for the time being, there's no need for it. These boxes, because the frame was cut right there, I had to remake those boxes and mate with the old ones there, and it finished it up nicely. These will be the shocks I will be using in the end of it. Another thing I did with the frame, I welded these corner braces, if you will, to strengthen the frame up. This was there originally on the frame, and I almost cut it off until I realized maybe I should make two more per each side and match it up. It does look much nicer, especially next to the original box over there. But let's see what the seat is retained by two cotter pins going underneath it. You're not going to be able to see them because I removed them, but they mount right there and there. Once they're removed, the seat is still stable onto the frame. With my body weight is not going to go anywhere, and that is important because it traps the fuel tank. And the seat comes off, it's trapped, and I'll show you how it's trapped in there. It's difficult to do this one-handed. Those are the cotter pins, the hitch pins. And see those 4 bushings? These ones are actually tracked by those rings. See those rings in the front? Made with these ones, and the ones on the rear obviously made with the rear ones. What else did I do on the frame other than adding that bridge? The bridge is important because left and right side of the frame are very flexible, and it doesn't help with handling of the bike, but I had to close in. This section was open and I had to close it in completely, and that made it a lot sturdier. And also this bridge I had to add. It's a seat channel, and without the seat you can see the fuel tank is easy to come off, slide off its mounts, but I only have 2 hands, so I'm not going to remove it. But yeah, that's what the modifications for the rear took. Now the exhaust, let me put this back on, and it mounts just like so. Is it in? That's right there. Now the exhaust was originally the motorcycle came with a 4-into-1 pipe. This is a Super Sport, Honda Super Sport. I found the used headers. They're very beat up. I cut them there, and I used a 2-into-1 merger. If you see that, stainless steel merger, and a typical 1960s muffler. They call this cocktail shaker, but I will probably remove the very rear end of it because they'll remind me of Eggley Vincent mufflers. The battery will eventually be exposed over there. I like to see the trouble right off the get-go. Voltage regulator. Electronics will be exposed. I'm not offended by electronics. The rear kickstand needed to be removed because it goes right in the corner and the exhaust interferes. So I have a choice of either welding it on the frame in the front or eliminating altogether, which I'm not too sad about. It's very heavy. And now the front end, this is actually a fork brace. A fork brace keeps the 2 forks going up and down together, and prevents side-to-side flex unless they both do it together, which helps tremendously with the handling of the motorcycle. Makes the handling a lot more predictable. But the fender is not quite mounted yet, but that's where it will go. But I have not yet installed it. The front wheel will have 2 brakes. Originally came with only one on the left side, on the opposite side, but I'm going to install 2 of them, and this should make for a very fun motorcycle. And I think before I let you go, I gotta make still some brackets for the exhaust. Obviously I'm not going to have them zip tied onto the swing arm. Oh, hi Meow Meow, where are you coming from? The stray cat. She does not respond to me, does not care. But anyway, beautiful motorcycle. I think I'm very happy with the way she's coming along. It flows together so nicely. I cannot wait to test ride it. You'll take some new carburetors. The ignition on the other side will be switched to electronic. I still have to install a rear fender with the necessary license plate and tail light, so forth. This right here is actually a Harley headlight from a Sportster. I have plenty of those. Harley headlight fits right in there, and it doesn't even need a shell. I'm using it as a it's insulated in its own rubber bushing and retained by some retainers I made in those corners. But I think that is about it for this bike. Also in this corner right here. The fuel tank fit nicely. The fuel tank came from India. It's made of aluminum, and it fit on the original CB rubber bushings, those right there. But it left a big gap, which is okay, because most likely I will install my ignition switch, headlight switch, so forth. I want to leave as many wires off the handlebars as possible. And I think that about covers Motonisto project number 17, Honda CB550. And wow, I'm very pleased with the lines. It's so pretty, striking to look at. But with that, I leave you. And if you want to see the finished project, come back. Until then, bye bye.